It's official. The Chicago Bulls are ranked 12th in the offseason power rankings. We're going to be talking about if the Chicago Bulls should have been ranked higher or should they have been ranked lower in this particular offseason power ranking. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we go ahead and jump into the hot topic of the day, wanted to go ahead and share a special message from the sponsor of the video, NordVPN. Hopefully the Chicago Bulls can get a clearer plan and move the franchise forward. Unlike the Chicago Bulls, you can have a plan when it comes to protecting your devices from online threats. That's right. The best way to do this is with NordVPN, which you can get by clicking the link in the description to this video. With NordVPN Threat Protection Pro, you can block against fake websites, against phishing, and other fraud and other scams online. That's right. You can go ahead and protect your Wi-Fi from being compromised with a single click. You can encrypt and defend your virtual private network. Make sure that you go ahead and you improve your security and block pop-ups. And once again, you can go ahead and get this with nordvpn.com/bulls. This is an exclusive offer where you get 4 months of extra service along with Nord's risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, so we are talking off-season power rankings. You can find this on NBA.com. And so let's go into what was said on NBA.com here. So they are talking about some of the key additions and key departures of the Chicago Bulls. You see that they're talking about Josh Giddey and Modest Buzelis being key additions. Some of the key departures, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, and then Andre Drummond. But I think the key to this is the 3 bullet points right here when they're talking about the 3 numbers to know. The Bulls were outscored by 9.3 points per game, the league's biggest discrepancy from the 3-point range. And then also too, opponents had the highest assist ratio against the Chicago Bulls at 67.9. And interesting enough, the Chicago Bulls gave up one of the lowest percentages in the paint at only 44% opponents scored in the paint. So I thought that that was interesting. Some of the key questions that they talk about and things that the Chicago Bulls are going to have to answer. They talk about the fact that the Chicago Bulls were 27-17 in the clutch. And then they talk about that the Chicago Bulls outside of the clutch were 12-26, along with the fact that now that Alex Caruso is gone, he essentially was a glue player for the Chicago Bulls, who were outscoring their opponents with him on the floor. All right, so let's go ahead and let's answer the main question of the video, which is, should the Chicago Bulls have been ranked higher? Should they have been ranked a little bit lower? And I think that they should have been ranked just a tad bit higher. All right, I'm not saying that they're 12th. I think that they're probably right around 10th. And I'm not saying that that's any better. And I think that they have the potential to possibly move up even higher than that. I know that this is just the off-season power rankings and we haven't even gone into the preseason rankings. But I think that there's a lot of things that the rankings or whoever's writing the rankings are really not looking at when it comes down to the Chicago Bulls being ranked right now at 12th. All right. And so first and foremost, let's start off with the key additions that they talk about, Josh Giddey and then also to Modest Buzelis. I think that both of those players could have a breakout season with the Chicago Bulls, and I think that that alone might lead to some more wins and them climbing the rankings a bit. I think that Josh Giddey, a lot of people can argue this point, but I think that he is a triple-double threat that could essentially, this can happen at any point in time on the floor. And I think that you have a real argument if you feel that once Josh Giddey gets the ball in his hands, which is what he is going to have that situation with the Chicago Bulls, he's going to have the ball in his hands, then he has a real chance to have a breakout season this year. Next, with Modest Buzelis, I think that everybody who has watched this young man play basketball thus far have raved about him. All right, I know it's just been the summer league, but he has a ton of confidence. He feels like he is the best rookie in the class, and I mean, he's definitely showing us a lot. I think Stacey King has already come out and said that, look, I would be shocked if he's not at least playing 20 minutes a game out the gate. And I think that he is going to compete for more. He has shown us that he has the ability to erase mistakes on the defensive end, which I think is going to be huge, especially in Alex Caruso's departure. So we're definitely going to need somebody that can erase some mistakes that we're going to make on the perimeter. And then also, too, he's shown the ability to handle the ball and score. All right. So I think that alone is going to help us. I think that he's going to essentially get some more assists once he starts to get the ball in his hands as well. So I think that those two players can help elevate the Chicago Bulls this season alone. All right. And so then next, one of the teams that's ahead of the Chicago Bulls is the Detroit Pistons. All right. And so the Detroit Pistons only had 15 wins last season. All right. And so with that being said, that would mean that the Detroit Pistons are going to double their win totals. And I'm not sure that the Detroit Pistons are going to do that. I know anything can happen during the season. But on top of that, with their young core, I get it. They've been together for a little bit of time. But, I'm sure with Cade Cunningham, when you look at the injury history, he's missed some time on the floor. So I'm just not really sold on the fact that the Detroit Pistons are going to just be able to add the veterans that they did in the offseason, and they're going to be better than the Chicago Bulls. Another team that was listed ahead of the Chicago Bulls was the Atlanta Hawks. And with the Atlanta Hawks, look, I get that they still have Trae Young, but there is a chance that Trae Young is traded, all right? And so I think that he is still very much out there on the trading block. And then on top of that, look, Atlanta really, they were hurt by injuries last year because, look, Trae Young missed some time, all right? And so, look, I could see that happening again with the Atlanta Hawks. I think that that is another way the Chicago Bulls could move up in the standings. And then next, they have the Toronto Raptors ahead of them as well. And so I'm not sure that Toronto has shown me enough to where they're able to make that jump now and be into a play-in team. I think that the Chicago Bulls are still very much into that play-in situation. And then one of the things, or two of the things that we're not talking about is, well, I think Coby White, all right? Coby White is coming off a season where he averaged 19 points a game, 4.5 rebounds a game, and 5.1 assists a game. The ranking that you see at the top is 63. That's via TheRinger.com, where they're rating the top 100 players in the NBA. But the fact that they talk about him being a playmaker who is a willing passer, I think that he is absolutely going to take off this year as well. If we're talking about Josh Giddey, we're talking about Modest Buzelis, I think that Coby White is going to have an outstanding year, and he is already talking like he is the leader of the Chicago Bulls, which I love that. And I have stated that I think if any player is going to be a franchise player out of this group, I think that it can be Coby White. So I think that that is another reason why I feel like the Chicago Bulls are going to lift slightly up in these rankings. And then lastly, the last thing that we're really not accounting for, and I know this seems silly because we talk about him being traded all the time, but it is Zach LaVine. I think that Zach LaVine is still very much a top 100 player in this league, all right, as far as rankings are concerned. And the fact of the matter is that, look, Zach LaVine is an effortless scorer, but he makes things very difficult for himself. All right. And so this is according to TheRinger.com, where they talk about the rankings of players, and they have him at 78th. And again, they're talking about the fact that, look, he can score the basketball with the best of them, but he just runs into a situation where at times he takes bad shots and he gets in bad situations with the basketball. And I think that this is a chance for Zach LaVine to not have to worry about that. I think that he gets a chance to slide into his natural second, third best player on the team. And I think that that is going to work wonders for Zach LaVine and his offensive game, because now he turns into a finisher. I think that that's very much what Zach LaVine is. I don't think that he's at his strength when he has to initiate offense. And look, if you are looking at what him and Lonzo Ball were able to do before Lonzo Ball went down, I think that Zach LaVine was having a very good season. And I think that he has a real opportunity with Josh Giddey and Coby White to have those same opportunities. I could see the pace of play picking up for the Chicago Bulls. They're going to be exciting. I could see a lot more lobs for him, backdoor cuts, a lot more easier scoring opportunities for Zach LaVine. So this is why I feel like the Chicago Bulls I think they're going to be ultimately ranked higher when it's all said and done. And I think that they should have been ranked a bit higher in the offseason rankings or power rankings here. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that the Chicago Bulls, well, they were ranked exactly where they needed to be? Do you feel like the Chicago Bulls should have been ranked higher? Do you think that it even really matters when it comes down to it? So even though we are talking about off-season power rankings, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.